Welcome to Bleav in 76ers with your hosts, former 76ers point guard Eric Snow and two Sixers fanatics in Marcus and Teja Dash. Bleav in 76ers is presented by betonline.ag.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is that time of the year. It's football season, and you know what that means? It means it's time to get in on BetOnline. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. BetOnline has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads to bet on during the games. Think you know your stuff? Get in on our $200,000 mega contest and pick 5 games against the spread every week for your chance at weekly prizes and a share of $200,000. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker or unwind with one of our 150 slot games. Head to the website today and get in on the action. BetOnline. The game starts here. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Bleav in 76ers podcast. I'm Marcus Dash here, legendary 76ers point guard Eric Snow, and my brother Teja Dash. Another weekend, 2 straight losses. I think last night was really the one that really put things into perspective for us as fans, as well as the team. And we're going to get into all that today. But before we get into the locker room and team meeting and stuff, what was your takeaways from the game itself last night, Eric?
You had a big lead, and for it to reverse tells you it's more than not playing well going on. Because they were up 19 and lost by 17 or 18. That's almost a 40-point swing. So that was disappointing. And then you don't score 90 points in the first 2 games of the trip. It just tells me there's more issues going on than just not playing well. That's what that tells me. Because when you're 2-10 at the time, the last thing you should be lacking is effort. It almost looked like effort was lacking versus the Heat. So that's concerning.
Yeah. Also concerning that it used to be the opposite, right? We used to have the Embiid minutes was like the safe haven of our game, but last game it was the opposite. Like when he was on the floor, that's when it seemed like we started getting worked, right? So when
he's on the floor, you're also playing against most likely the other team's best 5. So
It's true.
True, but that didn't seem to be a problem before. His plus minus was always one of the best in the league.
Yeah, he was also giving you 34 points a game too.
Yeah.
Drawing double teams, so that matters.
Yep, that's part of it.
Yeah. All right, so we kind of get into the drama that's unfolding here in Philadelphia, and hopefully we can pull some silver linings from it. But let's begin here. So obviously we blew a big lead last night against the Miami Heat, 46-27. Philly was up in the second. Eventually became a 79-43 run over the final 33 minutes of the game. According to head coach Nick Nurse at the postgame show last night, or postgame presser, he said they had a team meeting, which was Kyle Lowry's idea. And since then, some of the details have come out about that meeting to Shams in a new ESPN story. In the story, quote, in the meeting, Maxey challenged Embiid to be on time to team activities, calling out the former league MVP about being late for everything, quote, for everything, and how it impacts the locker room from other players to the coaching staff. Also in the story, players told 76ers coach Nick Nurse that they want to be coached harder, and coaches in turn said they want players to practice with purpose and attention to detail. Another quote in that story, Embiid accepted the messages sent in the meeting, sources said, but he stated he is confused about what the 76ers are attempting to execute sometimes on the court. Also in that story, Tyrese Maxey is expected to return this week, either Wednesday against Memphis or Friday versus Brooklyn, so that's good. So just kind of a mixed bag online. Some people are saying this is awful. The Sixers have hit rock bottom. Some are saying this is a good thing. So hopefully now we'll kind of turn it around. Now everyone kind of got it out there, got everything off their chest. But what do you guys think? Is this a good thing or a bad thing that we're having this team meeting?
I guess you can say it's a good thing you're having the team meeting. It's a horrible thing that we're discussing what they talked about. So you can't say we're having a team meeting and then the information gets out. So was it a players only meeting? So if it was a players only meeting, how do we know? So you can't talk about you a team and you're having a players only meeting and people are discussing what you're talking about in that meeting.
It wasn't players only because coaches and players are talking to each other.
So Kyle Lowry called a meeting with the staff and the players?
Yeah, because Nurse was late by, I think, like an hour to his press conference.
Okay, so if he called a meeting, right, was it anybody outside of the staff and the players?
I don't think so. I would imagine.
So why are we discussing what happened? How do we know? How does Shams get this information? So we can't talk about them being serious about anything. All this smells like to me is we're 2-11 in this Bleav season. That's what this is. It's Bleav season, because I can guarantee you this, and I don't know for a fact. I don't know anything about their locker room, but I can guarantee this. If Joel has been historically late, it didn't start this season.
No.
So if he's late and like they say he is about everything, he didn't just start that in October.
Nope.
So where was all of the meetings and all of the talking before February?
People can forget about things when you're averaging 34 points.
That's my point. That's my point. That's what's most disappointing, is that when he is obviously struggling, now all of a sudden people want to come and correct his behavior.
Yeah. Yeah.
But nobody had a word when he was MVP and he was putting all these numbers up. If you want to lead then. Lead when he the guy. Lead when he's MVP. Call him out then. Don't wait until everybody's down or the team is down and now all of a sudden you want to say something. That's Bleav season, man. And I'm not riding with that. That's not leadership. That's fake leadership. Because leadership is going to call him out when it happened. You're not going to wait until all of a sudden it's not going well and then you say something. So I'm not riding with that team meeting. You can put Allen Iverson on here right now, and I guarantee you he will say, E told me no matter what was going on the team. So you can't, like, I don't roll with that, man. I don't roll with all this. And every team has snitches as players and staff. I know who our snitches were when I was in Philly as the players, and I know who the staff snitches were. I know I'm not going to say it, but I know who they are.
Yeah.
And who they were, rather. So every team has them. So that doesn't surprise me that the information got out. So I don't put much stock into the information getting out, and I believe it. I believe that there's some truth to it.
Yeah, sure.
My thing is you can't put this stuff out and then think things are going to correct themselves because this information came out. So now the reason why you have to say Joel is receptive to it, and he may very well be receptive to it, but there's also a lack of trust because this gets out. If you have a team meeting and you come out and everything that was said in the meeting is now all of a sudden in the press, that's going to show a lack of trust. Why should I trust people in this locker room that whatever I say in this locker room is now all of a sudden in the press? So I don't know how you call a team meeting and then all this stuff gets out. And I know because we had team meetings and Stephen A used to report it right after. Or Phil Jackson, they used to report the stuff right after we said it. So we knew somebody was leaking it. We just happened to know. Well, I just happened to know who leaked it.
Did everyone know who leaked it?
I can't say everyone knew then. I think the key players knew. You know what I'm saying? And when I say maybe guys that younger guys or maybe guys that didn't play very much, didn't know. But myself, Aaron, you know what I'm saying? Guys that AI, like guys, we all knew who it was. It was 2 players and 1 or 2 staff.
Was it bad to the point where you would try not to tell them certain things because you knew they might leak it? Would you guys try to keep away information from them?
No.
That's interesting.
I mean, there was a point where I don't think they really knew that we knew.
Really? Okay.
So, because we never discussed it. We never discussed like who's telling these people. Like it was never a topic of conversation. We say because it wasn't. When you're having things to say and you're saying things and you're genuine and you feel like you're doing what's right and you're doing what you're coached to do and you're doing what your responsibilities, there's no need to sugarcoat it. There's no need to not say it. Now, if people want to take the conversations and tell somebody else, then that's on them. But I don't think that anything that was said, I know from my standpoint, nothing was ever said that I felt worried about it getting out because I didn't speak anything other than what I thought to be true.
Yep.
And that may be the case here. All I'm saying is it did get out. So that's a concern. And that's a heavy concern because it's getting out now when they're supposed to be banding together and getting stronger.
So let me ask you a question then, because you drew parallels between what's going on now and what you've dealt with in the past. And AI was a player that had great success and the whole practice thing. We get all that. So being one of the leaders, if not the leader on that team, as someone who's outspoken and would say it no matter what, would it be difficult for you to give a kind of criticism like that in the middle of like an MVP season? Is it hard to come up to someone
with no hesitation whatsoever?
Being late's being late.
No hesitation whatsoever. I would do it privately. I would have done it privately first. Privately, maybe 1 or 2 times. And then I would have called him out in front of the team. Yes, without a doubt.
Especially if what he said is numerous players and staff take offense to it. That's
I mean, that's my point. The point is, but the one thing about leadership, you got to represent what you say. So whatever it is you're asking him to correct, the behavior you're asking him to correct, you better not have that same behavior.
Oh yeah.
So if you're asking him to be on time, then you best be on time. So there would have been no issue for me to do that. And the team that I played for would have expected me to be that guy. I had guys come to me and say, hey, man, maybe you need to kind of talk to the team about this. Or maybe you need to talk to this player about this. Or definitely maybe you can talk to coach about this right here. We need to practice less. Or maybe can we get a day off? So when guys have those conversations, I was the one that was going and having those conversations.
Pushing it through, yeah.
So to now all of a sudden not be able to say anything. I mean, that's the great thing about Allen Iverson, that I could say whatever I needed to say to him. Most people think it was the opposite. But out of all the guys that I played with that are star players or Hall of Famers or the top players you play with, he was the easiest out of all of them to say something to that could be construed as criticism. He was the easiest to say something to. So
he probably appreciated you keeping it real.
But that's he's real. He's authentic. You got to be real with him. So if you're real with him, then he understands it. But I came from a different time. Like I went to Seattle and I played with veterans. I think my third year I might have been, and I was a 4-year college guy. I think my third year in the league, I was still the youngest on the team, or maybe other one guy younger than me. And I think the guy closest to me was 3 or 4 years older than me. Or maybe 2 years older than me, whatever it was. But you learn that stuff. Like guys those older guys, they would say what they had to say because it was the professionalism that you have to bring and you have to establish. And it's sort of the culture to set. So I do think the league and some teams are hurt by how young the locker rooms are.
Yeah.
That you having a conversation, that a guy's having a conversation with someone about being on time, and he's currently not even playing.
Yeah.
That behavior couldn't be corrected privately. I mean, it's also different because even from a coaching standpoint, if a guy's being late for everything, it's great to hear from the players, but where's Nick Nurse and Morey at? Where are they at?
Well,
I'm just saying that's a legit question. We're talking about him missing stuff and talking about Maxey calling him out. But where's the coach and the GM and the president and the ownership? Like, where are they at?
I hate to be a critic of Morey in the past. He has been someone who has been lenient toward his star players' absences and tardies.
So this is what I'm saying. So if the superintendent and the principal and the teacher allows a student to get away with things, we're going to expect the other students to come and correct that student's behavior only? Just asking.
Unless there's just
so, yes, I do feel players should speak up, especially the players that are about doing the things that you're asking him to do or asking him to change. But no way, shape, and form should that just be a player thing. Because somebody had to allow that behavior to get to that point.
And it would have to be Maxey, right? Because he is the next elder statesman on the team. As far as not oldest, but tenured, right? Because everyone else is new.
No, I don't. It's not about tenure as far as how long you've been with that team. It's about the voice of reason, the voice that people are going to listen to as far as the direction and the leadership of the team, whatever that voice is. And on this particular team, I don't know. I don't know who that guy is. I don't know. Is a captain of the team. It's a guy that going to say things when times are good, going to say things when times aren't good. So, but now that we're losing and Joel is obviously not himself, now it's time to say something about Joel. But that's another thing that I feel is a little shady because we didn't hear anything about this pre-February when he was giving people 34 numbers a game. And he was off of an MVP season. We heard nothing.
And
with the same staff. With the same staff.
Yeah. While playing injured, too.
I'm saying same staff, and the guy that supposedly called him out was there, too.
Yep.
He wasn't new. He was there last year.
It's also hard to know the inner workings of the locker room and the culture over there, and maybe guys feel like they can't speak anything bad against Joel, and maybe Maxey got his contract, and he feels like he has entitlement to say it now. He was on the last year of a deal. He was the young bug still. Now he's an all-star. Now he's got a long-term deal with them. Now he's a cornerstone.
I mean, that sounds good, but that also is would kind of tell me that you ain't really about that.
You mean that you needed all these things to be able to talk to me?
Yeah, that means that that ain't really who you are. That's what it tells me. I'm not saying that that's true or not. I'm just saying that because it's a situation where he got his contract, but he still don't make more than Joel. So what's different? You just got more money, so now you want to talk to him? You know what I'm saying? He's still the highest paid, so that hasn't changed. So what does the conversation have to wait for? If you're doing what you feel is right. It's about right and wrong. If you feel you're doing this because this is the right thing to do, what does all that other stuff matter for? Are you willing to? So you're not willing to do what's right, and you're worried about something else is going to happen because you're doing what's right. If the team don't respect that, then maybe that's not the place for you to be.
Yeah. Now, I think it's a combination of things, and obviously, it also depends who you're dealing with. Like you said, AI, no matter how he was playing, would take it the right way because it was coming from.
Well, I didn't necessarily say he would always take it the right way. I didn't say that.
Okay.
I said he allowed me. He allowed me to do my job.
Okay.
He allowed me to do my job, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he always agreed with it.
Okay.
We just never. You knew, like, publicly, I didn't have to worry about him going and saying something, even if he disagreed with me. We disagreed on things,
and that's okay.
That's my point. But I also didn't have to worry about him going to tell a reporter what we spoke about. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So the trust and respect was there.
Yeah.
Do you think that leak was strategic in a way? Because we kind of mentioned it's like a kind of blame game, 2-11 right now, pointing fingers. Is that a leak coming from the team to show Embiid's a problem? I mean, what would be the kind of the strategy behind that leak?
Well, excuse me. I actually thought about this. I know it's strategic on putting the information out there. What I'm not sure of is why. Why now? I'll have to lean towards we're losing, and kind of this is some stuff that's going on that's fracturing the locker room, and maybe if this is kind of corrected, then we can kind of put the things back together and kind of start playing better. That's kind of, I'll lean sort of to that as my number one option. My number two option is Joel was kind of the guy that's messing things up. If he kind of shows up late or he don't take things serious, then the team kind of, other guys start doing it.
Follow that.
So he's kind of setting the tone that's not positive for the team. That's the second alternative. The third alternative is they eventually want to move away from Joel.
After that contract?
I'm just saying that's why I said that would be third. Is the only things I can think of why this would come out now.
My other one, what I thought when I heard it was the only way to get him to take it seriously is if it became public and everyone questioned your work ethic.
Yeah, I mean, but I also I thought about that, but I also think that you're risking him
alienating him,
losing trust and losing him by outing him like that. Especially he just had a public outing with another reporter about something. And now you come back.
Derek.
I'm just saying, but now you come right back behind the reporter saying the report. So you're basically saying, hey, reporter, you were right. You just shouldn't have talked about his family.
No one criticized the other parts of that article. I will say.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying, like, for you to come and say that right now after all that, and now he come with an article that's from the team and the team's top players. Come on, man. You got to be careful with that stuff you talk about.
I mean,
in my experience, Joel will lose relationships will change in that locker room. They may not show us, but I'm telling you, in my experience, relationships will change.
Because of him saying it to him or because it got leaked?
Because it's out. Because it's out. And so it's like everybody's human, right? So, you guys are human just like me. Someone can say something to you, right? And no one not know about it, and you take it differently. But when somebody says something to you, then all of a sudden people know, you don't necessarily look at that person that said that to you quite the same.
Yeah.
Right? Y'all agree with that or not?
It's a loss of trust.
100%, yeah.
So because if someone says something to you and it got out, verbatim, the first person you're going to think to put it out was the person that said it to you.
Shams does have that Clutch Sports connection too, so that's also out there too.
I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
So, and Shams could get, like you said, he could get it third person. He could get it from a player telling an agent or / somebody, and then him telling them.
Yep.
But where does that come from? That person. Whether he gets the information directly or not, because whomever told him wasn't in the locker room. So, I mean, I know for, like, we had a meeting when I played for the Sonics, and I don't know if we were in the finals or maybe the conference finals or maybe even the semifinals. And NBC, Peter Vesey, I think, came out and said something. We had a team meeting to address something that Sean Kemp had did or was doing. And
players
I think
only?
It was like
players only or no?
It was players, might have been coaches, players. It was coaches, players. And we played that evening or night or afternoon, whatever. And we had the meeting that morning or the day before, whatever it was. And before the game, Peter Vesey reported exactly what we said in the locker room in the meeting. In the exact words. And there was no way you would have known unless you were in that locker room or somebody in that locker room told you. So if you can look it up, he said that, and we were like, guys were so mad that they wouldn't interview with NBC until NBC told them where they got that information from.
No way. Did they do it?
They didn't tell us, and we didn't get fined for not doing interviews either.
But obviously you guys went back to being interviewed by them again, right?
Eventually. But I'm just saying that game or like maybe a few games, yeah, the guys wouldn't do interviews with NBC.
Huh. That's crazy.
I mean, I know who the guy that said it is now.
How did you find out eventually?
When I left, and then we all kind of, the team kind of dispersed, you kind of find out. We had an idea who it was.
But you got to know before you know what I mean?
I think the older guy, I was a younger guy, so I don't know if that was my rookie year, maybe my rookie year or second year. I was so young that I wasn't privileged to all that information, but I was watching and learning. But I do know that the older guys on the team kind of like they kind of knew then. So it's guys on the team that I would talk to now. If I talk to some of the older guys, they would tell me, yeah, we knew who it was such and such. Then I kind of found out like later on, like who it was. But when I found out who it was, it made total sense.
Did it?
Like, yeah, oh yeah, total sense. Like
you start replaying things from the past and being like, yeah.
So, but the issue was that particular thing was very sensitive. So that's why guys kind of like was pissed off.
It was like private.
So it was sort of a sensitive thing, but it kind of, when I found out, it made sense because it was other stuff throughout the season that was coming up.
And it involved maybe that guy to some degree.
Or involving everything, involving whatever, our team in particular.
Okay. Man. So does it also show you the fact that it did get out and someone obviously doing it for some kind of positivity with the team, oddly, how desperate it is right now?
Well, I mean, I'm saying that's why I think it's blame season. You're blaming someone. Obviously, you blame the best player on the team.
Is it blame or is it like CPR at this point? Or like you know what I mean? I mean, we're trying to like jolt some adrenaline back into this team. Like they need some kind of shakeup.
No, it's
right?
blame. It's blame.
You think it's more blame than trying to like make it right?
Yeah, because if you're talking about a guy being late for everything, that don't have anything to do with jolting the season. You can be late for everything and still win.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And also, there's two types of blame kind of going here. You have the Embiid being late for everything, and then you have the other part where the players want to be coached harder. And then Embiid also says that he's he accepted the messages, but in the same token, he says he's confused about what the Sixers are attempting to execute sometimes on the court. So it seems like there is like the coaching staff versus, and then the Embiid component to this.
Well, maybe you're confused because they did that before you showed up that day, Mr. Tardy.
Yeah, I mean, if you say coach harder, I took that to mean a specific player or specific players that they probably feel they need to get more or structure or coaching to. And when I say coaching, I don't mean coaching from a standpoint of X's and O's. Hold this guy responsible.
Yeah,
which is part of coaching also.
People don't want to say it that way.
In my experience, that's what I believe that's what that means. Coach us, or so instead of saying coach Joel harder, you'll say coach us harder. Or coach, Paul harder, coach us harder. And then him saying we don't know what we're doing. I took that to mean staff not giving sort of firm direction on what they're doing and how they're playing. And I also took that to mean guys going out on their own trying to get theirs. But we've said that. They look like a team that's playing a bunch of one-on-one.
Yeah.
Now, we said that when Maxey was playing, so that's not new.
No. That's not a Joe problem. Yeah, now I didn't even think about that aspect of it, but yeah, you're right. That's like growing up, like when our dad would want to like yell at one of us, but not single one of us out for doing a bad job on whatever task he gave us. He said everyone's got to do their laundry around here.
Yeah,
everyone's got to do that, but they really Marcus got to do it.
Yeah, I mean that's parenting 101. I do that with my kids.
I bet you
yell at them all. They be like, "Well, I didn't do it." I'm like, "Well, I know you didn't do it, but
yeah,
I'm talking to everybody right now. I know who did it specifically, but I'm gonna say everyone."
Later on, he comes up to you one-on-one. It's like, Dad, you know I do that. Like, I know you do. Just get out of here. I had to say.
I know Marcus was the one that did it, but I'm gonna talk to everybody.
Yeah. Because you just want it done. You don't care. You don't want to get in the whole feelings and like isolation.
Well, I mean, also the thing about it is, if you're saying we're gonna coach Joel or Maxey or Paul harder, in their top players harder, that's a trickle down effect where it's going to be everyone.
Yeah.
So it's either just say us.
Yeah. And you want it to be fair anyway. Like it should be everybody.
It should be. I mean, you want it like that, but it's not like that.
And that's
somebody I know used to always ask me if you wanted, you want to be coached the same or fair. Think about that.
I would say, well, that's a tough one.
I told you.
Because you can't really coach everyone exactly the same because everyone's got different personalities and you have to manage that, right? I would say fair.
So what's fair for some people isn't the same.
Yeah, but this sounds like both. It's not fair and it's not
the same. So what I'm saying is when you saying you want to be fair, you're not coaching people the same. So then you can't look and see what they're doing to coach, how they coaching someone else.
Yeah.
A lot of the older coaches back in the day, everything was the same. They coached everybody the same way.
And that's maybe why Brown and AI butted heads. Because Brown was like you're here at 5, like everyone else is here at 5. I don't give a crap.
Coach you the same way I coached the 12th man.
I don't care what you scored in yesterday's game.
That's the difference. I mean, but a lot of older coaches was like that.
Also, I find interesting in that same report that Shams releases that is also Tyrese Maxey expected to return this week. So that's some good news there, which obviously when you have a team meeting and that's the headline there, that's the thing that carries it. But Maxey's supposed to return this week. So finally, Nick Nurse will have the full assortment of guys, the team that we were supposed to have going into the season. It looks like this week.
I have one last question. I know we spent a lot of time on this one, but what are you going to be looking for in the next game as far as bounce back off of all of this? As far as attitude and body language between the guys? That'll tell you something.
The main thing I look for is how hard they play in the effort, because the one thing to play for each other is to give the ultimate effort and encouragement when you go out there on the court, and we'll see if that's changed. And ultimately, behind that is how they play with adversity when things don't go their way. So that's what'll really be revealed, because adversity will really tell you who they really are at this moment going forward.
Yeah. Yeah. We can go on to the next one.
Now, what I find funny, though, this story to come out the next day was last night they asked Joel Embiid about it because Nick Nurse's presser said we had a team meeting. That's why I was late to this. And he didn't go into any details. He said, I'm not going to go into any details about it. They asked Embiid about it, and Embiid said, what meeting? And then everyone online was saying, like, though, man, this guy can't take anything seriously. He's trolling us about this. And then the next day we get the full play-by-play of what happened in there. So.
Well, you know what? You just got chewed out in that meeting. So,
I mean, maybe just, a meeting that no one else was supposed to know about. So yeah. Maybe it was just that.
Yeah. Yep. All right, so we're going to go to game picks. Sixers will travel to Memphis Wednesday night to take on the 8-6 Grizzlies. We've already lost them once this year. This game will be at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, last game of a road trip. Who do you guys have in this one tomorrow night?
You betting on a bounce back or you betting on a free fall?
So those guys from Memphis are still out. Rand and them will still be out. Yeah, we'll win. I believe it. We'll come back and win this game and kind of eliminate some of the negative talk.
Tied to this game is what I was going to say a minute ago. We've seen it before, right? When people have crowned us in the past about playing like who we are on paper, right? I think an element of this season is us playing as if the paper and the roster wins you the game, and it doesn't win you anything.
Yeah.
And I think they're like, we're this one of the big three teams now. It doesn't win you anything. You still have to go out there and play every game against bottom feeders, against other contenders. Just because you go up 15 or 16 in the game doesn't mean anything either. So it's like thinking the team's going to be like, all right, well, they do have PG and Embiid and Maxey's coming back soon. We're down by 17. Now let's just mail it in. It's over, man. It's not. And it just shows you how quickly, when you're disengaged, when you don't care, team's coming back in a second against you in this league.
Yeah.
If you're not trying hard. I think we play as if we need to earn it and not as if it's earned already. So I think we finally play with urgency and desire and effort, really. Just striving for the game, trying to win it, not thinking the team's going to lose. We've talked about this every year, I think. We've gone through periods where the team just thinks the other team's just going to lose for them. It ain't happening. The problem is with this team compared to different teams is we already played pretty well throughout the season before we went through a period where we acted that way. We didn't just come out of the gates playing that way. And I think that's tough to swallow, is that out of the gate 0-0, we just thought teams were going to hand us wins.
Yeah.
So you have the Sixers winning tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay. Please.
I said that.
Sorry, it was, I was just making sure we got you on the record for that.
Funny.
Well, if I said they're going to come out and play as if they want it and they want to win, and come on.
Not necessarily.
If we lose after that,
we can play like that and go up 19 and lose by 17 or 18.
No, I think that's what's been missing this year. I think the talent is there, obviously. What's missing is that they're not playing as if they need to.
He was just making sure, man. That's it, man. He just making sure.
Just want to make sure we have it. Clean sweep across the board. Whether Maxey's on the game playing tomorrow night or not, we all of us are going Sixers tomorrow.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed the episode. We'll see you guys Friday. Hopefully, coming up with a victory, and hopefully we get some Tyrese Maxey and the big three finally getting on the court together. So we'll see you guys Friday as we preview the Brooklyn Nets game.
Okay.
Take it easy, fellas.
All right, fellas.